Good evening and welcome to the January 15th, 2019 Norfolk Planning Board meeting. Please be advised that this meeting is being video and audio taped. Our first topic this evening is 273 Dedham Street site plan and stormwater management permit initial hearing. So who is here to speak to that?
You actually have to read the notice of hearing into the
We have to read the notice of hearing. Aaron has to do that, okay? Here.
Notice is hereby given that in accordance with Mass GL Section 48 and the Norfolk zoning bylaws Section F11, a public hearing will be held on Tuesday, January 15, 2019, at 7 p.m. in room 124 at the Norfolk Town Hall, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Massachusetts, relative to a site plan application for property located at 273 Dedham Street in Norfolk, Massachusetts. The applicant, 269 Dedham Street LLC of Rentham, Massachusetts, is proposing construction of a new 11,250 square foot, one-story commercial building with parking, landscaping, lighting, and underground utilities. The applicant is also requesting a stormwater management permit. The property is located in the C1 zoning district, reference assessors map 18, block 82, lot 12. The plan and application are available for public inspection in the office of the Norfolk Planning Board during the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday.
Thank you, Aaron. So, who is here to speak to that?
Hi, I'm Lisa Whalen from Gellerman and Cabral. I represent 269 Dedham Street LLC, which is owned by Tim O'Toole and Kurt Maloof here. You may recall we were here back in the fall to talk about an alternate development proposal for this property that we were thinking of doing in the fall. We've resolved that. We've come back with the full development proposal for you to develop the property at 273 Dedham Street. 269 Dedham Street LLC owns what's known as lots 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lot 2 is 269 Dedham Street. That's currently being, the building that exists on that property is currently being leased to Carvana. The remainder of, actually 269 and 271 are included in that lease. 273 Dedham Street is comprised of 2 lots, lots 4 and 5. And that is the property on which we're proposing to develop with a new commercial building, 11,250 square feet, 1 story, which is intended to house Mr. Maloof's business that was formerly at 269 Dedham Street. It's our hope that in addition to Mr. Maloof's business, we can attract some other tenants for retail and commercial business to the area. And so that's the general overview. The lots will remain in the ownership. There's no intent to divide the lots or convey any of them. So that's, I don't think we're going to be looking at an A&R or anything like that in the future. The lots are all independently conforming to zoning, lot area, and frontage. And with that, I think the technical aspects of the site plan can be addressed by Jim.
Before you do that, just point out the different lots so that we all see.
So this is the existing building on 269 Dedham Street.
Where's the boundary between that and the next lot?
This is the boundary between 269 and 271. This is lot 2, lot 3. Lot 4 and 5 are together known as 273 Dedham Street.
Okay.
So you're working on lots 4, 5, and part of lot 3?
The only thing that is, I think, over the line just a bit is some parking.
Some parking and the snow storage.
Parking and snow storage.
Right now, are these listed separately in the registry, these lots? Are these listed as independent lots?
They are included on one deed, but they are separately described, and in the past they had been conveyed separately. They are also assessed separately. Lots 4 and 5 are assessed together as one lot, but lots 2 and 3 are separately
Because
assessed.
I believe to have this plan go forward, these things have to be combined as one lot for purposes of recording our plan. I don't think you can keep these, I don't think you're using the side setbacks and conforming to zoning based on a certain parcel. I believe that parcel has to be combined all as one. I know in the past, that's the way we've done it.
The building on lots 4 and 5 will independently conform to zoning.
No, I understand, but you're putting a project on lot 4, 5, and part of lot 3. My understanding is all of that should be inclusive on one deed at the registry for purposes of this file. Maybe
I'm
wrong.
not sure that
can
there's
check-
any requirement
We
for
can check it out.
recording
I know in the past
purposes.
We've had them combine the lots before we issue something, because right now, we're using setbacks over a combination of 3 lots. I believe that's
The
the-
setbacks obviously don't, you're
Right,
going over.
so they
it.
have to combine
Right,
these, yeah. I think you can check, but I think you're probably gonna find you have to combine these because your project is going over independent lots.
Well, I don't think, in my experience, that that's the case. I think, you know, there's lot 2. Are you talking about for the purposes of the use or the dimensional?
For the purposes of recording this site plan,
It can be recorded and reference all,
well, we
4
can check with
lots.
town council, but in the past, I know that when we've had adjoining lots with one project, we've had the person after approval, before recorded, have these all combined into one lot with the site plan recording.
okay, I'm not aware of that
We can check
requirement.
and see, that's for sure.
Yeah. Any other questions before I hand it over to Jim?
No?
Jim, you wanna? Sure.
Good evening, Jim Soucy with United Consultants. As you can see, this is the,
Just
Sure.
identify yourself for the audience at home.
I thought I did, Jim Soucy with United Consultants.
Thank you, Jim.
Not a problem. We have the existing conditions before you of the entire site. Excuse me, the existing building is here, tree line in this area here. If you're familiar with the site, this is that 10 or 12-foot high steel fence, curtain, whatever you want to call it, and there's a chain link fence that runs across in this area right now. We do have a wetland along the backside as well as a riverfront and wetland down this side. There is a intermittent stream that comes off the drainage that comes off of Dedham Street, comes down through here and then out and becomes part of the larger system out in the back. Again, based on that, we have the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer zones to that. There is floodplain in the rear. This line here is the limit of the floodplain based on the elevation from FEMA. Again, this is all currently wide open. There's a portion of it that's paved, and everything else to the tree line is gravel. Can we go to the next page, Beth, please?
While you're doing that, you don't own that next lot over to the town line there, do you?
No.
Jim, where's the water flowing, basically? You don't have any structures here, right, drainage? Is the water flowing towards
Basically,
the
it's-
back?
Basically, it's going to be a sheet flow this way, John, to the sedimentation basin and the detention
Will it
pond.
infiltrate there? Will it infiltrate at that
No,
basin?
it will be detained there, then it will come by pipe to the rain garden, and this is where we did the soil testing to have the infiltration.
Okay.
Now, I have noticed, we did have a chance to go over the Beta's review, and they had suggested an underground detention here instead of the rain garden to pick up the roof and the overflow from the pond. That's something we will look at along with all of the other comments that were on the letter today.
Yep.
So basically, the site layout, the building would be in this location here with like an open patio for a display of smaller lawn vehicles that are sold. Driveway would come in here. I've tried to align the driveway straight across from the one from the Eagle Brook. So the driveway would come in, there would be parking in this area, parking along in front. The driveway would go around the back, and we would have emergency vehicle access in this area here. Off the back side of this parking would be the snow storage area. Next, please. So you can see here with the grading plan, everything is pretty much sheeting this way. All the runoff would be captured here in sediment forebay, which would then go into the dry detention basin. That overflow would be piped to the rain garden. We also have the roof leaders tied into the rain garden. And then in this location here, we have an overflow dissipator rather than just have an outlet pipe that would shoot directly into the wetlands. I've designed a structure surrounded by stone, so that would come into that, and then as the water filled up, it would then cascade over, but in a broader, shallower method than just having a pipe shoot out. Again, for the floor drains in the building, we would have the industrial wastewater holding tank out in the rear here. We have shown concrete curb, vertical concrete curb in this area to here and in here. I did notice in the beta comments that it was your discretion as to whether we could have the waiver for the concrete curb as opposed to the granite, and he did note that he would like to see a berm around the rest of the parking area. Septic system would be in this area here, tank under here, come out. Water service, there would be two separate services coming in, one for domestic, one for fire protection. Next page, please.
Before you switch, sure. When the overflow comes out of the rain garden, where does it go?
It would go into the wetland.
Via that little stream there, huh?
Yeah, basically there's a huge wetland in this area that was, I believe, was caused by this drainage outfall
Yep.
coming in and going.
Gotcha.
This is the landscaping plan, which again we have several large shade-type trees here, and along in here. Infill would be with some shrubs. These islands, this island, shrubs along the backside there. Again, the rain garden has its own plantings, which that planting list is shown in the detail pages where they are. And I believe we had another line of shrubs along the top of the berm there for the detention basin. Erosion control plan, basically we would start with an erosion control measure here, come here, pretty much all the way around the perimeter and tie back off in the front so that nothing can get out to the resource areas. Lighting plan, we're proposing building mounted lights in this area here, a couple here, and I believe 2 pole mounted lights here shining back. We have no spillage onto abutting properties with the lighting, and they are the shoebox style for direct down cast of the lighting. And then these are just the construction details, showing the details on the light and the spec sheet on the light, tree planting and shrub planting details, the monolithic sidewalk curb out in front, wheelchair ramp detail, pavement sections. Again, more details, typical trench, water service detail, water connection detail for making the tap into the street and running the fire protection, and that separately. The erosion control would be a 12-inch compost sock with a filter fabric fence behind it and a orange construction fence behind that to keep any debris from blowing off the site. The sedimentation entry mat here with details, the dumpster pad and the fence, and some typical sign details. This is the detail of the industrial wastewater holding tank. Chain link fences, sliding gate detail for the entrance. This is a cross-section of the rain garden. Then within it, there is emergency overflow catch basins. There are several riser pipes as part of it that go to a drain underneath and outlets. And then this would be a detail of the overflow dissipator, which again is this 18-inch PVC catch basin with, I believe, 3 foot of stone, 3.5 foot of stone all the way around it. Here we have the post and rail detail where the big high steel fence is now. That will all come down, and we'll install a post and rail fence along that area. Detail on the permeable paver patio out front, and the layout of the detention pond and a cross-section through the pond to show how it would be constructed.
So Jim, where is the fencing right now? I'm having trouble following it.
Betsy, can we come back to like page 3, please? Okay, that's, we're good. Right now, John, that huge fence is in this location here. We're gonna take that down, and then in this area here, we're gonna replace it with the split rail fence.
So the current display is in the front of that fence now?
Right now,
Where's the display right now?
right now, the display area is in this location here, okay? And it actually extends out to about here. So we're gonna be eliminating this section of the existing display.
Right.
We want, leave this, and then he could have some display up here for the, the mowers and the snow blowers and the smaller yard equipment that he sells there.
So this is for use, this is gonna be a sale of used vehicles and repair, is that it? So you need what, a class 2 license? Is that what you're, in a class? We have. Okay, so it requires a class 2 license only? Okay. I know the zoning on this is tricky. I was asking I know that you had some conversations with the zoning enforcement officer. He was supposed to give us a review of his thoughts, but this all came in kind of late, so we'll probably have it before the next meeting that he can send you, because some of this is grandfathered, correct?
Thanks. Yes, in 1981, a special permit was granted to allow the auto repair use on 269, but the special permit does allow or benefit all of the parcels. So we actually, discussed this with Mr. Bullock last year, and town council agreed that, the special permit could be applied to
Well, the
all of the
reason
lots.
I asked, because he said he had some issues with it, and then I guess what I'm stuck at, it gets back to that individually parceled lots. Normally, if I know that when we can check on the special permit, obviously in the grandfathering that goes with that, but the special permit normally pertains to a use on a particular location, so I'm not sure whether he was talking about the special permit that it was granted. Why would it be granted to 3 other lots that were not in use? And again, it's getting back to, we're gonna have to find out.
Right, they were under the same ownership.
Why these,
Yep.
same ownership
Yep.
is fine, that's contiguous, but still, zoning is based on an individually, our zoned lot recorded at the registry. So I think that from what he told me, that's what the concern is, the grandfathering with a special permit on 1 lot, and now you're taking that use and bringing it across to 3 other new lots, and you've got different setbacks you're using, but to comply with the setbacks and the lot coverage, I'm assuming in that, you're using the 3 lots. So I think something has to be done, and
Rich, do you have a copy available of that original special permit?
It was submitted with the application.
Well, we'll get a review from.
yeah, this is kind of tricky, so we
Right.
can find all that out.
Just as a overall comment, what we're proposing to do is they'll give the overview presentation tonight, and then we're going to set up a meeting. We'll sit down and go through the issues raised tonight, but also the ones that were in the peer review report through beta. So
Yeah.
we'll go through each one of those items.
Yeah.
As you folks go through with this, start to tweak this, what sticks out to me is the display area right smack on the street. And you've got all of that land there. Is there any way you could still get a frontage view from passers-by, but push this display area so it's back and it's not as encumbering on the site as people are going down the state road?
John, I did notice in Beta's comments,
I haven't read Beta's comments yet.
okay, that
Excuse me for being
basically
redundant.
they're looking for a 20-foot setback from the street line,
Which makes sense.
you know, for site distance and whatnot, and
Right,
also
yeah,
for the site
yeah.
distance counts. I don't believe there's a big problem with,
No, the restriction right now is that big tall fence. Once that's out of the way, you can bring everything closer to the building. The reason the display is up front is because of the fence.
Because I know for, not that I've exited the Eagle Brook too much, but I know that on occasion I've exited the Eagle Brook, there is a sight distance problem there when you turn left leaving the Eagle Brook. It is a decent one, and the folks leaving there sometimes, so I think we want to look at that carefully too, especially if you're putting things out right by abutting the street side, you know? I think that's something just to
Yeah, and that's
consider.
why we're putting the patio, and that would be, that's a big patio. A lot of it can stay there, uncovered.
And if you had this and you had some numbers on the setbacks and that, so we could determine, rather than just, you know, have a section, put some detail on how far the area is set back and how big, et cetera, that would be a help too.
okay.
Well, it's a good segue to my 2 cents. So, I guess I find it interesting, again, that we always insist on putting parking in front of our
Aaron,
buildings.
grab the mic.
That's all right. We seem to always insist on putting parking in front of our buildings, but seems to be an interesting spot where I would think that the street frontage might be important, and we seem to have the opportunity to put the parking on the side. So I don't know how the wetlands work out. Maybe we can't pull the building forward, but this seems like a perfect opportunity because you've got plenty of space to more pull the building closer to the street and stick the parking on the side in between the two buildings. The buildings would help screen the parking, and then you'd have more visibility to the street to your building. So just something to think about if you're not too far down the road with all these very detailed plans that have been well thought out.
I actually think that's a great point. Does the rain garden, Jim, have to go there because of the elevation?
It is,
Well, if you're gonna put it, if our suggestion from our consultant is to put, what, an underground drainage tank?
underground recharge as opposed to the
Well, that really
the
takes
open rain
care
garden.
of, takes care of that surface area too.
I just have one question as it pertains to that. Would I have to go out and do additional soil testing, or have we done enough soil testing on the lot to satisfy?
So I don't think we were able to ascertain from where exactly your tests were.
Okay. We
But I would recommend that you do additional testing to potentially put it in a better place.
Okay,
And
that's what I just,
And provide greater
yeah, I mean,
information.
so if we are gonna move this over into this area here, we would have to go and do soil testing in that area
Yeah,
to
yeah.
back it. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that
As a
one.
minimum, Jim, you have to have test pits underneath that underground storage tank, or by our rules, I believe, just to make sure there's a 2-foot separation.
To groundwater for this tank here, Joe?
If you put a tank out the front where the rain garden is.
Oh, if
is
I
that
put
what you said?
underground recharge, yes, I need the
I think
2-foot.
you've got to have
Yes.
test holes there just to prove the
Like I said,
separation.
we've got a test pit there and a test pit there for the septic system, and we did 2 other test pits in this location here for the,
Right. They need to
the
physically be
recharge.
underneath where the structure is going.
right, that's why I just wanted to clarify whether we needed to do that, or if we had enough soil testing on the area to verify that
Okay.
these are the soil conditions. We don't have a problem doing additional testing.
I think you folks have an opportunity to do a real nice setup here.
Yeah, this is.
And, you know, see if we can help. And Do you have any elevations of the building yet, or haven't you got that far?
Yeah, if you want to take a look at those.
No, they're still in the work.
Oh, they are, okay.
I
had some preliminary ones.
Oh, all right.
That'll work.
Yeah, at least it'll give us an idea what your thinking is.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
So what, is the project primarily sales or a combination of sales and maintenance?
Sales and service.
Sales and service of what kind of,
It'd basically be automotive and small engine.
okay.
So which building would be the, facing the roadway?
I think the top
A
one.
top one? But the garages would be in the back?
Yeah, the garages would be in the back, correct. We may have a door on the side, just for better access.
Okay. And this fence right now, that's existing, the one going down perpendicular to the street?
Correct.
Is that a stockade fence or something, or chain link?
It's metal. It's
Is it a metal slat fence?
siding, yep.
Okay. And that's staying?
No, that'll be coming down to the post and rail.
Okay, okay.
And then the rest of Lot 3 is where Carvana is storing their cars?
Correct.
Yeah.
So you have no rights to use that based on their contract?
Correct.
We can access the property as needed, but they're leasing both parcels.
They're leasing parcels 2 and 3. And what about your parking spots on Lot 3? Well, actually, are they gonna let you've got more than just parking on Lot 3. You've got your whole display area, parking, and
Snow storage.
snow storage.
It's sort of like a common area.
They don't have any reason to display. As you remember, when they got their license, they're not displaying cars.
I'm not asking that, I'm just asking if they're contractually leasing lots 2 and 3, do you have some legal right to be using Lot 3 for your business on Lot 4 and 5?
Yes, because Mitch's maintains an office in that building as we speak.
I think that was another thing that was a point of contention, as you know, from the
Yes.
zoning enforcement officer. Okay.
Correct.
All right, so we got some homework anyway. It's good to have the overview.
And the snow storage area, John, the snow storage area can be common for both buildings. It's kind of right there in the middle between the two of them, so
That's all,
it's
yeah.
ours, and again, it could be their snow
That's all
storage
fine.
area
I
as well.
mean, we don't want to just have this done and have come back and say that, you're violating a lease term because you're encroaching on someone's property. Getting back to my first comment that which lots are we using for this project? Because if we're using just lots 4 and 5 because you don't have any right to use 3, then we got to adjust all the setbacks to conform with just lot 4 and 5. So that's basically how we're going to start this thing, I think. Correct, Phil? Yeah. Okay. So we got plenty of time to look into that. We can check also about, the combination of lots with town council and check the zoning stuff out and all that, so. Thank you.
Any questions from board members? Other than what we've already asked?
I'm good.
Aaron, you okay? Gary?
As long as I do everything I suggested, I'm good.
Fair enough.
And they, Mr. Chairman, they do need, they have submitted an application to
Yeah.
the Design Review Board.
Yeah,
Hasn't been heard yet, but.
okay.
See me there, too.
Are you changing significantly the design of the building from these renderings? You indicated these were preliminary thoughts, but what do you have in mind?
Yeah, we haven't chosen an architect yet, so once we do that, we'll have a better idea of what we're looking at,
Gonna put another door on?
only on the side.
Is the exterior, is it a sheet metal?
That's still undecided, yeah. as you would like, we would like a, you know, a nice looking building.
Okay, thank you. Rich, anything else from you?
No, I think we covered, like I summarized, we'll get our schedules together, sit down and go through
Yep,
the report from Beta,
right,
as well as some of the issues that are raised with the board, so
Sure.
we can
okay.
address those. Hopefully we'll have a DRB maybe scheduled between,
Well, DRB really is going to wait on their
Yeah, I think
selection of an
so.
architect on another set of renderings as to what they're proposing.
I think before the DRB, we've got Erin's point of parking
Yeah.
and setbacks and display. I think that
Right.
might be a little bit later on
I
down
think
that,
so, it's at
you
least
know?
another month beyond, I
Yeah.
would guess, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Anything else, sir?
no, sir.
Thank you. All right, thank you, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
So we'll continue this.
Yeah, we need a motion to continue this until our next meeting, which is February 12th, at 7:10 PM.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. All right, next up is 3 David Road, site plan, continued from 12/18/2018. So I got a bigger drawing. This is the one that came by email. This is better? Yeah, this is better, right?
That could be a nice project.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Sure,
will.
but they got a lot of room to really make that, really
I
enhance
think so
it.
too, yeah.
Is it redundant though with,
With what? With,
is it Norfolk Power right there as well with a similar setup?
Where's Norfolk Power?
oh, they're across the
street.
line and
Oh, right
rent them.
beside it, rent them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and there's the
No,
one, the
no,
rental
there's-
place
there's
across the
others
street.
Right there.
The
Yeah.
rental across the street is, yes.
Hotspot.
Yes. Yeah.
Got our own little auto mile now just for lawnmowers.
Yeah, yeah.
Lawnmower mile, right.
Need a new lawnmower, so hopefully it'll drive down the costs.
We do have big yards here.
That's right.
Well, not down the road.
All right, someone want to grab a microphone and,
Good evening. I'm Brian Weiner, civil engineer with Dunn McKenzie.
Good.
Ken McKenzie's here and the applicant here as well.
Mhm.
I don't know if the best way is to put the drawings up
Betsy,
here. Maybe
can
just
you put the
start with
drawings?
sheet one. And I know we haven't formally been before the board before
yep,
this project because it got continued, but the basics are, maybe we can stop it. This sheet is, it's a, less than an acre commercial lot. It's within existing commercial subdivision, and we're proposing a 6-bay commercial building, shown over here, and there's associated grading, stormwater, utilities that go with it, and septic system. And so we submitted a number of months ago. We had some back and forth review comments initially from Beta Group, and we had a great meeting with them back in November. And what we've done since that time is we've modified this plan, the main driver being the drainage design, to work with the setback requirements.
okay.
And maybe we could flip to the sheet that we just submitted in the last day or so, which is also sheet 3, but a newer version. I can explain the changes for the site, and
So is this lot pitching up to the back of the lot?
it is, yeah. I'm sorry. So existing
I have trouble reading
conditions.
these numbers.
Existing conditions. A number of years ago, we've been working on this lot say about 15 years. And so at one time it actually was cleared. It's since grown back in. It slopes from west to east in this direction. And so there's a cut on the back of the building and a little bit of a fill to at grade in front of the building where the parking lot is and the parking spaces. There's 15 parking spaces, one handicap. It's a 7,450 square foot building. Again, with the 6 bays, there'll be a limited number of employees. We'll have to get a final count with the septic design. And so we met with Phil and Richard from the town back mid-November, fleshed out a lot of the review comments. So I'm hopeful that what we're presenting here works for everybody and the layout, and we can move forward based on what we're showing here. So the changes that we've made, we've moved the septic system down into the southeast corner. What that does is it frees up space so we can get the 50-foot separation distance to the infiltration basin and infiltration chambers that were shown at the front of the property. And it also allows us to maintain the well setback, which was a lot of the discussion that we had when we met. And so we're exceeding the 100-foot well setback to the nearest well, which is on the butter's property. The well for this site is up in the north, and some of the abutters also have wells up here. And so what we've also done is we've separated the roof drainage from the rest of the site drainage, and that's shown is going into the chambers beneath the parking lot over here. And then sort of a new feature, in addition to moving the location of the chambers, is we're showing a detention and infiltration basin at the front of the site here. And what that allows us to do is to meet the requirements we're asked to meet with respect to setback distance to the well, the septic, and we've also adjusted the groundwater accordingly. That was another one of the items we talked about. And so this design accomplishes those goals. What we'd be looking for...
What do you mean you adjusted the groundwater?
So the groundwater that we use for the design, the elevation, it was at that particular time. And so we're asked to make a further adjustment to what it could historically be. It's often done a lot for septic systems to make sure you truly hit the highest groundwater possible.
So would you put a correction factor on there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did
Okay, thank you.
with this design. Sorry, didn't explain that.
Are these soils decent out there?
They are. We saw perk rates that varied from less than 2 minutes an inch to 20 minutes an inch. So that was in this initial area where we were planning for the septic.
Okay.
We're designing at a much more conservative rate.
Yeah, I think he makes you, doesn't he?
Yeah, we're designing for the
It's tough.
the Rawls rate, the 1 inch per hour, which is a lot more conservative than we saw.
So how high are those walls gonna be in the back there where the grade changes?
So this is a riprap slope.
Okay.
This isn't a wall. We have a landscape wall out in this front corner. It's anywhere from 2 to 4 feet high.
And what's the riprap slope, 3 to 1?
It's 1 to 1.
In terms of cut and fill, what does it look like in terms of cut and fill?
It's definitely a net export. It requires an earth removal permit.
Mhm.
And so we'll be submitting that within the next week.
Okay.
And it's really just because of the cut in the back
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
cut for the footprint of the building.
Yeah, well, you said you had a fill. I figured, you might have a net zero, hopefully a net zero. but-
We would have preferred that, but to meet the grading on the east side, you couldn't fill enough.
Okay.
And at the same time, you have the driveway coming up from the existing road. We couldn't get the grade of the site any higher.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be looking for a waiver for the slope being more than 3 to 1?
I don't know if it requires a waiver. We showed it as a construction detail with a 1-to-1 engineered slope. It's not a grass slope. I don't know if it requires a waiver to be a riprap slope. it wasn't,
What's the slope on the riprap in the front of the yeah, to the right?
this is also worst case in the corner. It's 1-to-1, and then it gradually,
Because you have abutting properties on both sides there, you know?
yes.
And as you know, you're supposed to keep your water on your own lot. You're confident that these slopes will contain your own water?
We are.
You are.
So it was 1-to-1 in the corner, and what does it change to?
Right here, wow. What the fuck, I can't do-
I think that to look at the, it's a little hard to see, but it's 1-to-1 immediately in this area, and then it begins to flatten out as you
So
push back.
basically, on the east side, there's a 10-foot drop, and on the west side, 10-foot drop.
Yeah, 10-foot cut, yeah, if you will, yeah, yeah.
Where on David Road is this?
If we go back to an earlier sheet, there's a locus that, say it's sheet 1 or 2.
Same thing, yeah.
Oh, that's a different outfit.
Oh, wrong one.
And why are we hearing this tonight?
They came to us back in September and wanted a site plan review, and it's been postponed and postponed and continued, and this is the first time we're gonna we've seen it, yeah.
So I think based on the meeting we had back in November, outside of the public hearing where we worked out a lot of the technical items and review comments, I think what we're presenting is the changes, hopefully.
Yeah, there's been a lot of work done off the table here, so it should be very close to what we finally end up with here. But there's the locus of the lot for those who wanted to know.
So it's this one right here?
Yeah, that's right, Kevin. You can see it on the drawing up there, the red lines.
So between the bays and the parking on the right there, is that all pavement? I'm assuming to get into the bays.
So right, yeah, it's pavement over here.
Yeah.
Be able to go back to sheet 3, the newer version. That's the old one. Yeah. So this is the previous version. It's good for your parking question.
So the pavement goes all the way from the bays to the...
So the edge of pavement is over here. And we have parking spaces along this eastern side.
In the back of the building is...
Back of the building,
pavement also?
No, it's grass up into a sidewalk that goes to each of the back doors.
What's the lot coverage on this site plan?
Let's go back to sheet 1, the cover sheet here. So we're at 57% lot coverage. And the
looks more.
Criteria is 60.
Yeah, looks more. That's why I asked.
We've got a whole 3% to work with.
So one of the things I wanted to go over with the layout we're presuming would work for the drainage changes is we do need to be closer than 50 feet to the building with infiltration. It's a frost wall foundation, so we don't have any construction concerns. And with the infiltration basin towards the front of the site, we would be closer than 20 feet to that front property line. And so it's still the same waiver, but it's improvements to that waiver in that we meet the setbacks to the wells And
Yeah. Which probably takes precedent. And you've got an inclination, which means that in the land, which means that the drainage is probably running from, west to east, is that what you said?
yeah, generally slopes in this direction.
Southeast, yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of important because the lot coverage and the perks going from 2 to 20, not knowing where the 20s are, and you've got these one-to-one slopes, and you've got a lot of abutters. Really have to make sure that all of this water is contained. If not, you've got watersheds over a butter's property in the back, in the front, and on the street.
Well, to that point, the parking lot, how is that sloped? Where's the water going to run off to?
So we have two low points in the parking lot. There's a catch basin here and a catch basin here.
Okay.
And so it's contained. We have curbing.
Yeah, all right. Yep.
So you're looking for a waiver for the drainage basin being too close to the building and to the roadway?
That's correct.
Okay.
What's in that little triangular area up at the end of the building up there?
Up in this area?
Up in that area, right.
So this is a grass slope, and then there's a catch basin over here as well.
Okay. Just a grass slope, all right. Yep.
Yeah.
How big would the underground chambers have to be if you turned that basin into an underground drainage chamber?
Based on our calculations, it wouldn't work, and the reason being is we're not able to make the rate work for the volume with no net change. The infiltration basin is a lot deeper, and that's
how deep is it?
It's about 7 feet deep. That includes the freeboard, so it's about 6 feet with a peak storm.
That is deep.
Yeah.
Maybe the deepest one we have in town.
Yeah, it'll be for a short duration to meet the volume requirements. If we had chambers, we couldn't meet that requirement. And so we're basing our design on looking at the lot as being good woods today, which is something we talked about in our meeting when years ago it had been fully cleared. And so this design takes all of that into account, and that significant change going from the good woods to what we have today. And so there's a substantial reduction, not just the rate, but the volume that we had to meet. And we can't accomplish that with the chambers and all the different setback requirements.
If the building were a little smaller, you'd be able to alleviate a lot of the problems too. What is going to be the use here?
There's 6 bays. I can let the applicant speak a little bit more about it, but there's a garage entrance. I think it's mostly storage. But I'll let, I don't know, a few minutes, Marat, just explain the use of the building. And I know it's a building he's done before, and that's what we based our footprint on.
Just quickly, I purchased the land 4 years ago. I wanted to bring my business here from Seekonk, Mass. And then I kept changing my mind. And then finally, this summer I decided that I want to go ahead and continue to put the building up. I restore architectural woodwork in Boston area mostly, or north of Boston. And so basically, we're going to be doing some maybe restoration in this facility partially. I might just use half of the building and then rent the other half to contribute to expenses maybe. Mm-hmm. So basically, and we do a lot of site work on site. So I will probably use the building no more than 6 months a year occupying, because sometimes we take jobs on site and stay for a month or two. Yep. And so basically, that's what we're going to use.
Okay. So architecture, restoration, mostly woodworking?
Yes, woodwork.
Working, yeah.
Restoring the existing woodwork in homes.
Yeah, mantelpieces and,
Exactly.
yeah, okay.
Staircasings. And
Yeah, okay.
So could at some point, it could be 6 different businesses, one in each bay, potentially?
Potentially, maybe when I'm retired, maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes, some people want to rent 2, 3 bays, one business. So I didn't think about that yet.
But they're all separate as designed, they have separate utilities.
For now.
Yes.
Internally, is it one open space, or are there walls that separate each bay?
Depending on my usage,
And the
I might keep
lease,
it
yeah.
open, 3 bays, 2,
Yeah.
3 bays.
Yeah.
And then depending on who will rent, if they want 2 bays, we want to keep it open.
Okay.
Do you have a picture of the outside elevation?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you have any renderings that,
Yeah, we printed one out. There's still some architecture that remaining, but this gives you an idea.
thank you.
A similar project he's done.
Metal construction on the outside?
Yeah, we understand we need to put together the
We have a
design
window.
review board.
Do you have a window in there?
submission.
Do you have a window in the building?
I don't see one.
Do you have a window in the building?
Maybe in the back, up high, just to get some light in. But I also, I would like to have skylights, not total skylight, but clear roof panels in each bay, so you can get daylight in, save some energy.
So parking requirements, how many spaces are there?
Confirm, I believe there's 16, 15, plus the one handicap.
Okay.
Let me just confirm that, though.
I don't know the requirements. If there's 6 different businesses, does each business have to have a handicap spot?
No, I don't think so.
It's just for the site itself?
For the parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'd end up actually with less than 3 parking spaces per bay. You got 16 spots.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they base it on square footage of the building.
Yep.
You didn't do any stormwater calcs yet, right?
We reviewed, I think we reviewed it once or twice? Once?
Yeah, the initial submission was reviewed, and that prompted the review letter that Phil had met with us to go over and work out the details so that we can efficiently get any revisions made to the drainage design. And so that's the revised sheet 3 that we've given you, with showing the infiltration in front of the building. And if that's acceptable, we would move forward and complete that design on the plans and provide the full drainage report for review.
This work for everybody, a storm?
So they didn't provide updated calcs or revision. This is actually a fairly difficult site. And they're putting quite a bit on the site. I know we discussed, because of the well locations and the requirement for septic and recharge, it was just we spent a good amount of time brainstorming that.
Yeah, it's challenging. This is the best
But you
we've.
leave no room for failure, because with your almost at the lot coverage max and the slopes 1-to-1, even if they're allowed, I mean, and you've got the Board of Health putting in a correction factor because he's not sure of the groundwater. If there's a miscalculate, this is going everywhere. This is going on your butter's front, back, and in the street, so the burn becomes filled. This is really, this has to be assured that it's going to cover a 100-year storm that we seem to get every 5 or 8 years.
It does. We've designed it for the 100-year storm. Everything's worst case between that, the high groundwater, the infiltration rates are worst case, although the soils are better than we're using. We've
So the challenge I mean, we just got this plan today or?
Right this
morning.
morning.
This morning?
Yeah.
So we haven't had a good chance to look at it, but I think you gotta at least maintain 10 feet from the foundation with your infiltration. And you gotta grade out this basin, because this basin's 7 feet deep. At a
No,
3 to
agreed.
1
We
slope.
didn't show all the detail.
Right. So it's right at the property line. I think it may be best to shorten that building a little bit so you can
Right.
fit everything in.
But you got a danger here because you've got people walking along the streetway. You've got a 7-foot deep basin. If you've got a temporary period where it's holding 2 feet of water, I mean, that's an issue.
Yeah, we'd provide a fence that would.
Yeah, we don't, a basin that's fronting right in the road doesn't look super anyway. You gotta have a big hole there right in the front of the road. I agree with Phil. I think you're just sticking too much onto a piece of land that stormwater-wise is marginal. And again, you've got wells there and you've got all these abutters. We gotta check if the slopes don't work, then, you know, that's a whole other issue. If you're still required to have a 3-to-1 slope, that becomes another issue.
Yeah, it wasn't a previous review comment or discussion though.
Remind me the depth of groundwater up on the northern side?
Yeah, so there was.
Was that an issue that?
Yeah, so the test holes in front where we're looking at infiltration, there was none found at 12 feet.
Okay.
The test holes where we previously had the infiltration, it was, you know, anywhere from 5+ feet to, I can pull out the drawing, I think it's number 3, 4. Yeah, it was very variable in that area, but down in front it was consistent. We didn't find anything at 12 feet. The ones where we previously had the infiltration, one of them had none at 120 inches or 12 feet.
Something like this work with a mounding analysis to make sure.
Yeah, I think
mean,
that's,
this is kind of tricky. If ever, I don't want to have you guys spend any money, but if you do a mounding analysis on this site, you may find that this may work out to shoot your stormwater theory down because you've got mounds in certain spots you don't know of that's going to affect the runoff.
Well, they're sort of different. The runoff and the mounding are different.
But it affects the stormwater infiltration.
But the point we're making is we need to do a stormwater review.
Yeah, right.
So what we're hopeful was to, and it sounds like 10 foot is the distance we should be from the building. And out in front, we're trying to come up with a parameter for the infiltration basin so we could put together a final design. Rather than just spin wheels and go back and forth and be efficient for everyone.
Rather than having this 7-foot deep basin, right, can you construct a swale system and dump some of this water into something that's a little bit less conspicuous and dump it more generally all around the site rather than just having everything dumped right at the street?
Not much room.
Yeah, the challenges with making the lot pre-development as good woods, which is the feedback we received, the net that you're trying to meet, it doesn't become feasible unless you can do a larger basin. We had initially submitted it as different lot coverage based on the historic use of the lot where it had been cleared. If we could go back to that, you get to a point where the chambers might work, and we can look at that. It's a balance we're trying to strike. And if there's some,
or we can make the building smaller.
I personally think the drainage is
So you've got the septic as far away as you can get it, right? Your well is far away as you can get it. And then you get the storm water. Now, I don't know if, I was thinking maybe a horseshoe around the building for the, for that roof drain. I mean, kind of just hook, I mean, the more you spread it out, the less likely you're gonna have an issue with groundwater mounding at that front location, so.
Yeah, if we, you gotta take the 50 foot off the septic, and then you look at the well radius, and you can't put anything in the back because it's in a cut slope.
We all understand it's a difficult site, we get that.
Yeah.
We're maxing out the site coverage. We're pretty much, looks like we've over-maxed out the building size and the retention pond. So we don't meet the setbacks required at the street, we don't meet the setbacks required at the building, and we've maxed everything out. So it's, as John mentioned, there's no room for failure. And actually, it seems like we've already gone over the peak and we're sort of into it doesn't meet the letter of the law, right? So we're being asked for a bunch of variances. It seems to me like it would be prudent to look at it again, see if we can meet the setback, see if we can make the building smaller, and see if it all still works for you guys. Right? If you prove that doesn't work and you want to come back and still ask for these variances, then we can cross that bridge when we get there. But it seems to me like we're asking for a lot to try and make this difficult site work. That's my 2 cents.
Well, I think you're right. Can you put the plot plan up again so we can look at the building relative to the site? If you look at the top of the drawing there, up towards the lot line to those other properties, what's the setback requirement there?
The building setback? I can scale it. We also have them listed on one of the other drawings.
You can
Not
move
much
it.
though. See the building setback line here, Walter?
No, I'm looking.
See this here?
There you go, there you go.
So he's right at the corner there. That looks like a walkway. He's right at the corner at. Right here. See that walkway there?
Oh, the blue, yeah,
I think
okay.
he's right at the corner.
Yeah,
Right
okay.
here.
All right.
I mean, also you can, they're trying to get a building that's already been built, which is great. But, maybe it has to have some modifications to fit on this particular lot.
Yeah, it's
Well,
a 25-foot setback at that property line.
Yeah, all right, now I can see it on the actual physical drawing here. Well, you could, I don't know.
We could look at sliding the building back a
Could
little
slide the
bit. Yeah,
building back a
absolutely.
little and gain, and not necessarily have to give up square footage of the building, maybe. If you could retain the square footage of the building, that's to your advantage and to the advantage of the town and the number of businesses we can get going on here.
How many
If you
feet-
can't, you can't, but I'd give it a shot
Controls the
before I
distance
gave up.
from the piping space to the building, the bays. Can that be reduced? So you
Can't we
can
waive
stretch the
that?
building, change the building parameters a little, no?
Let me just scale it.
Zoning board can.
ZBA, all right.
That will never happen either.
I'll have to look at the regulations and see if we can squeeze it. I don't know.
Just
We
another
also need to
question.
get the turning radius into the
These-
bays.
The turning radius, okay.
I think it's the turning radius that drove that aisle width,
Okay.
trying to get into the bays.
Are those parking lines, are those 25-foot lines there represent parking on the east side? I'm assuming. I'm trying to get the distance from the building to the,
There's a 50-foot marker there, John.
where is it?
Yeah, they're 20.
Infiltration.
They look like 9 by 20
I've
parking
seen it.
spaces.
My question was, if this building was configured different, you have a lot of space between the building and the parking. If you made this building shorter and wider, loosen up a lot of room, but again, I think the applicant here is trying to get a building, he's already got a design for it, which is one of the problems, because this has all these limitations. If this building was shorter and wider, because I don't think you need that much space to pull into the bays there, I think that would help too.
We need like 32 feet, we have 35. 3 feet.
Yeah, we might be able to gain 3 feet
That's it?
Yeah, yeah, there's not a lot to spare. It's about 35 feet from the face of the building to the end of the parking spot.
So what,
Yeah, it's an older
where do we,
subdivision
sitting
and
here?
commercial lot. It's been a challenge to meet the current standards.
Where are we sitting?
with moving on here?
Oh, I just think,
Yeah.
personally, I think the drainage is really an issue
Which needs to be reviewed.
Yes, it
So we'll
needs to
get
be
that reviewed.
and redesigned.
Yeah.
So we owe them comments, official comments, from a drainage review, and they need to do their homework on the riprap.
Yeah, so we provided a review, and we, I think there was some question as to, you know, we went through all the comments together in a meeting.
Just ask for it.
And that was a couple months ago, and this is the first plan we've gotten since then.
We
Right,
haven't seen it yet.
Right, so we need to do our
And
review.
it's not completely.
Exactly.
Right, so we're continuing this.
Yes.
We're continuing this meeting.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
I think in the meantime, maybe the folks can come back and do some work with redesign now that they had our feedback on what
That would be in their best interest.
might
I think
change.
it would, it was one day, and I think it's a lot easier, I don't know.
Right, so do we need to
Even the 3 feet might pull you back 20 on the
make a
front
motion to
side.
continue?
Yeah.
Well, once,
No,
yes, we
we'll
will
look
need
at all
to do
these
that.
things.
Once we finish the discussion here, make sure that these folks have said everything that they want to say this evening. Are you, additional comments you'd like to make before we move on?
No, we appreciate your time. It's obviously a challenging site, and we're trying to
Yep,
make it work with, it's an older, smaller lot within
yep.
an older commercial development. But we'll revisit the design, see what we
Okay.
can do to
I'm
work
sure
with the
there'll be an
feedback we've received.
There'll be an opportunity to sit down with Phil and Rich and go through it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And then we will make a motion to continue this to the next meeting or the one after that, whichever you tell us you're ready for.
Yeah, we'd prefer the February 12th meeting if
Okay.
that's possible.
Rich has
The only suggestion I make is that come up with maybe some preliminary kind of redesigns before we get into another.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe
we're already,
Do some potential redesign on the drainage, try to make that basin, spread out the stormwater over more of the lot. And see if you don't have that thing standing right there at the street and eliminate the need for your waivers for the building in the street.
Okay.
I think that'd be a big help.
Yeah,
I think you did a good job fitting
yeah.
a building like that on a real tough spot. But you just get a little nervous if that thing doesn't work and stormwater's not an exact science, then we're flooding people.
No, we appreciate your feedback.
And if you choose is this your final design for the fill, or is this preliminary?
No, that's the
Okay.
concept for
Yeah,
the,
well, if you choose an architect
that we have.
and do get a set of renderings, we'd love to see those as well. All right, any other questions from the board members this evening?
None.
Nope. Phil, you all set? Rich? No. All right, then, thank you very much, and I'll entertain a motion.
Butter comments?
And the butter, do we have a butter person?
I'm fine.
You're fine. Okay, we have a butter comment which says, I'm fine. Then I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing until February 12th at
7:20.
7:20 PM.
So moved.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. See you in
Thank you.
February.
Thank you, guys.
Maybe Aaron Academy Awards music button.
All right, what do we got next here?
It's a good idea, actually.
Next is Cranberry Heights Open Space Subdivision request for continuance. Before we have a motion to continue the open space subdivision hearing. Rich, do you have any information that you'd like to share with the board on Cranberry Heights?
Sure. The applicant's essentially still trying to juggle the issue of getting water to the site and looping, which coincides with the road work restoration that would be necessary to do that, as well as balancing trying to make the economics work for the water improvements needed to get to the property, as well as the affordables that need to be provided as well. So they're going to go back and do some number crunching and then come back with a proposal to the board.
Yep.
They're not here to discuss it, but that's kind of a summary where we're at with them.
Do you anticipate they'll come back in February, or?
I do.
You do,
yeah.
okay. All right. Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing on Cranberry Heights to February 12th.
So moved.
7:30?
At 7:30.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. All right. 5 Shire Drive, request for continuance. Again, Rich, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Yeah, we had plans submitted back to us, but there was a little additional work relative to drainage again that needed to be done.
Yep.
The applicant has done that, but they've come up against the number of reviews, so they're going to need to come up with some additional money to provide the second, actually third review.
Yep.
For beta. But I think hopefully they anticipate that they've lined things up now. But he wanted obviously to have beta provide that final review so they could come with a clean report to the board. So that's why they're continuing it.
Okay, right.
But at least it looks very favorable at this point.
And they need to come up with another check, huh?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah. And what we're doing, Phil and I discussed, and Phil was suggestion is that we'll have that first review done, and then we'll probably just have a meeting where we sit down with them. And I think it'll probably be more beneficial to discuss the comments instead of that back and forth writing, and which in turn I think will help actually everybody. Hopefully they won't be spending as much money and get more efficiency through the process. We're going to do that.
Get to the conclusion quicker, too.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Instead of that back and forth.
Sure. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing on site plan, stormwater management, earth removal permit, special permit for outdoor storage for 5 Shire Drive until February 12th at
7:40?
7:40 p.m.
So moved.
It's creeping.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
All right.
Mr. Sear.
All right, next up, we have Mr. and Mrs. Kane. Request to set bond amount for Norway Farms. Floor is yours. Grab a mic.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to see us.
Yep.
We would like to get lots 2 and 3 released, and we have the paperwork. With the open drainage system, we don't have, an engineered plan. We do have the culverts shown as proposed, and then as the as-built, in that we submitted. And I did put together some pictures if, anybody wanted to take the time to, see the drainage system, functioning and, the way it is now and the lot. Yes.
I have never seen detail like this in 30 years of development. Great job. I mean, this is like, puts us to shame. There's a lot of time here.
Well, I think we're all fortunate that the meeting is going on a little bit earlier, and
Just, you know, we don't need a engineered review of your drainage. All we have to
Okay.
know as a board is that
Yeah.
the drainage, I understand you get temporary drainage in.
yes,
All we need to know is that works.
yes, it does.
And Mr. Grodeau is probably here to confirm that. Tetra Tech must have confirmed it also because they've got a bond estimate here, correct?
Correct.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's great work, color-coded. too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
You must have a PowerPoint software package or something.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to make it easy for everybody. If we wanted to run through the pictures, we wouldn't have a lot of questions.
Good job.
Okay.
All right.
I'm looking for the lot numbers, which,
What I was gonna ask.
It would be 2 and 3, so when you're driving in,
yeah,
the first one kind of goes into the woods there a little bit,
yeah,
and 2 and 3 are the first ones in the field
on
on the left.
the left, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So the plan is, and this goes back to the drainage, and sort of where we're at and where we'll be in stages going forward, is we want to build out through the left-hand side of the road going around the cul-de-sac, get that area all stabilized with lawns and everything, so we don't have one dust going up to the nearest neighbors, but also to, keep sediment and stuff from crossing over the road.
Okay, so that would be this sequence of events would be to work on that side of the road first?
Yes, yeah, we're going to do 2, 3, and then hopefully 4, 5, and, 6 and 7.
Is 1 the first lot?
One's the first lot that's kind of up in the woods. I'm not sure if those show houses, but the house is way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna let that one go for a while.
Okay.
I think you should put on this bond estimate, like my little pet peeve, they should be labeling the roadway on these estimates. So if this, I'm sure this is for the roadway in its entirety.
Yes.
There should be the notation saying it's the road entirety or from station 000 to whatever station, so we have some detail down the road. If this applicant wants to go have partial stuff released, then we don't know. This doesn't have any background, so
Okay.
we should probably make a note on this that it's for the entire roadway. Do
Okay.
you know what the last station is?
Approximately 850.
Station 000 to 850, and also put the end of the roadway, so when it's complete. Thank you. I did see Mr. Barnaby today.
All right, so the proposal is to set the bond amount at $290,391 through this description provided by Tetra Tech, correct?
Correct.
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Is this a tri-party agreement?
It is.
You have a copy of the tri-party?
I have 3.
You got them signed by the bank and by the
I do.
applicant? So we have to endorse that. You get the lot release form?
Yep.
What is for that, like 2G or something? Betsy?
A lot release form is a Form FH.
Form?
Excuse me.
So we have to
Yeah,
endorse.
Yeah,
both
endorse
of
those, right.
Yeah,
Well, we need a motion to accept this, too. don't we?
yes, we
Yeah.
do.
Any questions on the bond amount here? Aaron?
We always ask for Bob's opinion on releasing the bond. We don't ask for his opinion on setting the bond.
No, the engineers do that. They set the amount, they go on the site, they do a calc, based on the highway statistics pricing.
Do you want to, quick summary of everything they've done to get to this point? Or-
Sure, go.
All right, I'll do quickly. So the conservation restriction is recorded on record. That was one of the conditions
Mhm.
of the definitive plan. approval. The money, the 2,000 per lot maintenance money has been put in the homeowners association account. That was condition of the decision. Rob did talk about the, as far as the drainage system goes. They do have NIPSE's permit on record. We did get a email from Bob McGee about the paving after November 1st, which he was fine with. A letter was submitted to extend the time for the affordable to March 2019 to apply for. You remember that it's kind of been delayed, so
Yep.
that request has been submitted, and that we did talk about the other documents, so everything else is in place.
All right, good.
If memory serves, the
Yeah.
affordable is going to be off-site, is that correct?
They haven't decided.
Okay, still out there? All right, gotcha.
It's, right now, it's labeled as Lot 6.
Okay.
To be built, I think, as the 6th home before we
Gotcha.
can move forward.
All right, so we need anybody else have any questions on the bond amount or bond process? Then I'll entertain a motion to accept the bond at the $290,391 amount.
A motion to accept the bond estimate for Norway Farms, Station 000 to Station 850, the entirety of the roadway. Accept the bond in the amount of $290,391, and to execute the tri-party agreement between the three parties, and to release lots number
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Okay, so we've got some signatures to,
Did I read now?
we might as well do it right now. It's just take a second to do it. If you've got the forms ready.
I do have the forms ready. You also need to vote to release lots 2 and 3.
That was part of that motion.
That was part of the
Oh,
motion.
it was part of the
Yeah,
motion?
yeah.
Sorry, missed that one.
Okay.
Okay. There's 3 sets. This one?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. I'll notarize the signatures and I'll have those forms ready.
Betsy, if I may, just a moment. Elizabeth Maitland for Rob and Jean
Yep.
Kane. Just a housekeeping matter. I brought this to your attention, Richard. I have in my possession the deed for the roadways and the easement. I don't know if I'm supposed to have those or you're supposed to have those.
We are.
We are, okay. And as I mentioned also, I drafted new deeds simply because the entity has changed since everything was signed way back when the property was conveyed to an LLC, so I did new documents. So if you would like, I will have Mr. Kane sign those now and
These ready for
deliver
me?
those to you to keep in hand. Okay, great, thank you.
Gary's still all outside.
I'm non-voting, non-signing.
One more switch.
Thank you.
Good to see something actually moving along to construction.
Right. Absolutely.
Are we set to move on to the next item here? Okay. Fox Run, you've got a request to continue the next meeting for the request for bond reduction, huh? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just for the record that Pulte
Yeah.
actually requested a bond reduction, and money has been provided to the town for Beta to go through the plans, the construction document, do the inspections to prepare a bond reduction request. They also submitted as-built plans, which they'll be reviewing as well. So it's just more for your record to let you know it's forthcoming.
Okay.
Just for the record, I don't have any part of releasing those roadways for at least 2 years, so why they're gonna spend all the money doing a review 2 years premature, I don't know. Those things can happen in 2 years.
For the reduction, you mean?
Correct.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, good night.
Thank you very much.
Good evening to you all. Happy New Year.
All right, good night. Same to you.
I know it precedes your time, but that was the agreement with the Pulte people.
Yes, it was.
and
I
so
thought it was
that's-
3 years, John.
It was 3 years. I was being a little bit more generous because I think it went well, but that was always the agreement. That's why the town and the Conservation Commission and the Board of Selectmen let them use open space to get rid of their problem
Yeah.
when they eliminated a 300 and something foot basin.
Yeah.
And a small one that was 200 feet.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and John, who runs their site, should know, he does know about this. This was not coming. If that fails what they did, we're responsible. So I wouldn't be in favor of making them spend money to do a review on the roads because the time hasn't come yet.
So then probably the appropriate thing to do is to have them come in at the next meeting for discussion of it.
Sure. And the talk was to have those drainage structures recambered after 2 years to make sure everything was structurally complete.
Yeah.
I seem to remember him yesing us through all of that.
I'm
So
sure.
I don't think that there was ever any point of contention or
There never
a
was.
follow-up.
Yeah, that was always the understanding. That's why they were allowed to do this particular routine to repair everything, so. No need to spend the money in doing a recap of the status, because the road status could change in 2 years.
Okay, then I think makes sense to have them come in, so
Mhm.
to discuss at the next meeting.
Did they say what their expectation was, or how much of a reduction they were looking for?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
So we'll,
And that is the only bond, right? There's only one bond.
One bond.
correct, yep. So we'll send out an invitation, I'll let them know, I'll speak to their,
You may, yeah, they may want to speak, but you may talk to the
well, the
folks in
fellow,
charge, and they may remember and.
yes, this is a different fellow who contacted us from Pulte.
Okay. All right, thank you. Alexander Estates, request for extension of time to complete the roadway.
There's a request from the applicant to extend completion of the roadway. There is, there's only one lot left to be constructed on, and once that's done, he's prepared to finish it.
So, this hasn't come up in years, but why are we,
Well-
fully bonded, why are we giving him an extension to accept the roadway? What if we don't? What's he gonna do?
This is not to accept it, it's time for completion.
And if we don't give him an extension, what does he do then? What is the
So
end result of this particular?
technically, the end result would
request?
be the board could vote to call in the bond to finish it. That's the,
Yeah, I think this is like useless, because having somebody come in every year, because we haven't had a road done in the proper 2 years ever since I've been in town, ever. And there are probably 20, 30 roads now that have been in for 30 years that still aren't accepted, so I don't know. It's a routine thing, but Mr. Vonby got me the parking lot, asked me if he should come in. I just told him I didn't think he was needed because it's just a standard vote, but In all the last subdivisions in the past 5 years, we've never brought this forward once.
Well, you
Start naming them.
start naming them?
Nichols Road, Petrosi, I mean, this has been, I thought this went away because it was kind of silly.
I definitely know. Well, we'll go to the next, when we get to the next topic, I can tell you.
Okay.
Which is other roads for completion.
Those are the roads that have been abandoned.
No. The point, if you want to just add it in, so Silver Fox Road, which is Sandy Knoll Estates 2, they came in for a couple extensions. Their time to complete was this past year, June 13th of 2017. So there's
2018?
Huh?
2018?
No, 2017.
Okay.
So they're a couple years behind.
Yep.
Well, not quite yet, but so obviously, it's a balance between, not having a road sit there incomplete versus getting it built out. So that's why.
Right, we always have the option to recall a bond, and we all know the process to recall a bond, the legal cost and the time, and that's the one thing you don't want to do. That's why I always thought this was kind of silly, like you're going to say
And
no.
why isn't the cost to recall the bond included in the bond?
That's a legal action. That's a long, involved legal action. We've never done, I don't think we've ever done that.
You call then, another one, Saddle Ridge. The board did that one last year. That's one of the roads that we wanted to talk about. Well,
Did we formally call in that bond?
We did.
The bank just gave us the money, was that it?
That one was in a passbook account.
Yeah, it was a cash bond.
Yeah.
So do we have a legal proceeding to take their passbook account?
We went through the process. The board voted.
I didn't say that. I said, did you have a legal proceeding to take somebody's money that's escrowed in a town account without giving them the right to defend it?
Yeah, that was what we did through the notice provision through the subdivision control law. With the board, he was put on notice that the bond was going to be called.
Okay, he never responded.
And he didn't respond.
Okay.
He actually didn't really care to have. He was fine with it.
He was
but-
out from day one.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had to go through that process, which we did last year. In this particular instance, he's just is looking for an extension. We're not pulling the bond here. We're not.
Did he request this, or did we?
Yeah, he did. His engineer is the one that.
Must have read it in the regulations somewhere. 'Cause
It's written in his covenant.
Yeah, it's in his covenant.
It's in his covenant.
Yeah.
Really?
It sounds like we ought to acknowledge his request.
Yeah, since it's already in there, yeah.
So what does he want in terms of extension?
One more year to finish the road?
One more year.
One more year.
Because he anticipates getting the one house lot
The only thing
done.
that could hold him up, he was dealing with one final customer that was really giving him a hard time. It may take him.
On that note, I recuse myself from this discussion.
1 year from when?
Yeah, when's the date of the approval?
The extension was January. It was actually this month. You could do 1 year from tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
Shouldn't he be here to request what he wants?
What's that?
Shouldn't he be here to request what he wants?
He did it in writing, right?
He
did it in writing, yeah.
And we kind of told him he didn't really need to be here.
Yeah. Sometimes we guess right, sometimes we don't.
Like, what are you gonna say? No, we're gonna pull your bond tomorrow?
So why don't we,
What was the written request?
Oh, I don't have it in front of me. Hold on.
It's the email.
maybe the date's in the request?
I believe it is.
Probably, yeah.
one. So it was January 13th, 2019 was the time to complete.
Thank you.
So we want it until January 13th, 2020?
Correct.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to grant a one-year extension. Someone want to phrase that, please?
Let the road guy do it down there.
What's that?
So we'll let the road guy do it down there.
I hate to motion where I don't really believe in it, but motion to extend the roadway infrastructure for Alexander Estates until January 13th,
2020.
2020.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is a unanimous vote. Well, you're
I'm recused. Yeah.
He's recused.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like Barbara Walters, 2020.
Yeah. All right, sir, you have a couple of updates to give us.
Yeah, so good segue to next topic, which is roads.
There you go.
For acceptance. So as I mentioned, Saddle Ridge Way was, the town took the bond to complete it. There's some landscape work, so we're going to work towards getting that accepted. It might not be in the spring, it might be the fall, but I'm working with DPW on that one.
Yep.
Toils End Road has been completed. It's a little 3-lot subdivision. Trying to reach out to the developer because the residents
Jack Scott.
were looking, to have the road accepted. So trying to strike with him to get that done. Tailwind Circle, the developer Ron Nation has requested that to be accepted by the town, so we're working through the process for that. He submitted the deeds. Silver Fox Road, as I mentioned earlier, wasn't this time expired, but I'd like to have that get accepted. There's been a lot of discussion with the residents on that road again, accepted as a town road. I don't know if you followed along, but there was out there that the road was closed, and there's been a lot of.
He hasn't done that anymore, though, has he?
What's that?
He hasn't closed off the roadway anymore, has he?
No, there
It
was.
years
but-
ago when he was selling the gravel.
No, but there was a more recent, I wasn't first-hand knowledge of it, but privy to the fact that there was a notice the road was closed.
Really?
Yeah. So there's definitely, I'd like to see that come to conclusion to get that accepted. Another one is, Bristol Pond Estates, which is Bristol Pond Drive. Remember I've talked to the board before. That one is long expired. And we do have a bond in place. The bond is, premiums are paid, they're there. The developer has got one lot left, but it's an old subdivision that it really needs to be finished and completed. So I would like to suggest we have them come in or strongly encourage them to finish it, because the road, there's one house left to be sold, but I don't think there's actually any houses left that need to be built. So I don't think there's essentially any reason not to get it done.
You know the history on that, right?
There's quite a history on it. Yeah.
He's been on to this board at least 4 times. There's complaints from the neighbors, and it started off back, what was the recession, perhaps 8 years ago, and everything was slow. He's a nice man who doesn't do it for a living, but he inherited this and he had someone build it for him. And he had, at the time, 7 or 8 lots that he couldn't move. So he said, once I start selling them, I'll start to contribute in and put in the curbing and clean it up and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is now, he hasn't ever done anything, I don't believe. Is there granite curbing not in there yet, or?
There is some granite curbing that's in there.
There's
So
no
some,
trees,
right, no trees in there, yeah.
So I, once the last lot is sold, then the only retainage we have to get it done is to pull the bond. I do know the last time he was in, we had the bond reviewed and it was current pricing.
Yeah, and the bond is fairly significant for the road.
And it's a third party?
It's no, that's a surety bond with a surety company.
Are you sure the surety bond didn't expire?
I am sure. I actually.
What's the expiration date on the bond? My understanding is they don't notify you anymore when the.
No, we checked it recently.
No, yep, and the premiums are paid, so it's still in effect. I did
All right.
actually check on that. The one thing I would like to have him come in, because there is extensive landscaping on that plan.
Right.
And which includes not only street trees and so forth and the landscape islands, but there's a lot of landscaping that was part of that plan that's on the lots. And I had discussions, Mr. Rosano, on it. I mean, if he's not going to do that landscaping, he's going to need a request to modify the plan, because it's, you know, unfortunately his plan was approved with all this landscaping on it.
On whose lots?
They're actually individual homeowners'
The
lots.
front yards there?
They're in between lots, yeah.
Between. I
Yeah.
know that he had an issue with Jeff Kane, because in the entranceway there was hundreds of feet of fieldstone wall
Mm-hmm.
that was waived a while ago, where I think
Yeah.
there was an agreement between him and
Yep.
Jeff. Or actually, the agreement should have been with all the neighbors, not just Jeff. And that's a substantial number, too.
Yeah, that, we did go, I did see that in the file, so that was voted on by the board, but there are other lots with landscape, and those lots, and those homes have been there for a while now, and there's some landscape in between that was part of that subdivision plan that, you know, like I said to him on the phone.
Never got done, huh?
Yeah, it didn't get done, so it's either, you know, you need to do it, or you're gonna have to work something out, because that was the approved plan. We don't have, which you probably would expect, is the bond doesn't include the landscaping outside the public, you know, outside the proposed public ways. We have money for the landscaping and the roadways, you know, the islands and the street trees, but
How
not.
is he required to do the private landscaping? Is that on his certificate of approval?
It is on it's on the plan that was in his approval, so it's shown on there.
It was.
Yeah. So, I mean, he knows about it. I mean, we talked about it, but you know, it's getting to that point where it really needs to clean it up so he can move forward.
Well, at this point, you've got homeowners who own all those pieces of property.
Right, and some might be perfectly fine with not
That's
having
what I'm
land.
just thinking, I
Right,
mean-
you know, they might not care,
They
but
might not care, right?
but so at least.
But some, if they
we
knew
need
about it, might like it.
Right, exactly. We need to at least hear from each. I mean,
Why don't you send a notice out to the residents and see if they want to come in and have the developer come in, and we can just discuss it.
Okay.
So his timetable is.
Okay, I don't know.
Who's maintaining it, plowing it?
The town.
Is the town?
I think the town might be plowing it and billing them.
Yeah. I know this February. February's is it a little too full your agenda, you think, or is time?
Well, we don't know how many continuances we'll get.
Right.
No. Yeah. Well, maybe we should put it on then for February. You know. But that's kind of the.
Sooner or later, we're gonna have a very long meeting, yeah.
The lay of the land, so to speak, with that.
Yeah.
The other updates are very short. You know, much shorter. Finish this off for tonight, okay? Complete streets, very simple. The consultants are pulling together the They got requests from DPW, what they would like to see done for roadway improvements, sidewalks, et cetera, in the town. They're putting together that prioritization plan from the public meetings that were held in December. The plan should be delivered to us around the beginning of February. We'll circulate it out for comment. I'm scheduled to go before the Board of Selectmen on the 29th of January to at least start the process of drafting of a complete street policy. And depending upon the outcome of that meeting, in turn, like to at least give it to the planning board on the the February meeting to take a look at it. And then the town center grant, I just found out the planner who was going to be working on this has since decided to retire. So they need to assign a new person to us, but I do have a meeting set up for January 28th at 7 o'clock, more of a kickoff with the 5 members that are seated on the working committee. So we'll go over things, at least kind of a game plan going forward on the 28th of January. And that's it for what I have for tonight.
Okay, next up is 1A Walpole Recreation Complex. Aaron fished out of the last mail a document which we received from Walpole Planning Board or someone like that, and it showed a rather extensive recreation complex on Route 1A adjacent to the Norfolk town line, opposite the prison.
Opposite the prison?
Opposite the prison. You know where the boiler house, you know where the boiler, yeah, you know where the boiler house is?
Yeah.
From there down to the town line. On that side, on the boiler house. And it was 2 football fields and
So you have the drawings?
A couple of baseball fields.
couple of baseball fields. It was pretty extensive. And
Playground?
that playground, that was really an attractive
Splash pad.
piece, yeah.
Splash pad.
Splash pad.
It's increasing the value of Southwood.
Of town, I think.
The town.
Town rec, yeah.
So they just built a new police station, a new fire station, a new library.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like this had been approved a
12
while
years.
back.
12 years.
And so now it's just coming to fruition.
Think
Or
they're
being
really-
proposed to come to fruition.
They're pulling permits to build it, finally, I
I've seen construction vehicles pull in there this week. It certainly will make Southwood a little bit more attractive
Yeah,
as
well.
as a development.
Bread and butter.
Yeah.
That's quick. Yeah.
There's the chunk of land. See a little insert up there at the top? That's part of Southwood. That's where the water tower is.
One on the.
Yeah, that little jog up there at the top. That's the town line right there. And I don't know whether that little jog is part of Norfolk or still part of Walpole. But I know it's part of the Southwood property. That's where the...
No activity on that, huh?
No, nothing recently that Rich is free. Anyway, can you show us any more of the drawings?
Sure.
That's just a forest path that goes down through there. But you start to see what they're proposing as these come
See
up.
if I can zoom in on that a little bit.
So I guess part of what piqued my interest in this is I know there's ongoing conversations about Pond Street. And seeing as how this was a 12-year process, I was wondering which started with a master plan for recreation fields in the town of Walpole. I'm not aware of a master plan for recreation fields in the town of Norfolk. I think it would be a good idea.
I know Ann Proto has a lot of ideas
Yeah.
on what, I know she knows what we need, and I know she has thoughts on where she'd like to see them, but
This was, I'm sorry,
They're getting
Betsy,
land
this
still
is,
from the
so right
state.
here is kind of just,
buying land?
We're not, it's not, well, yeah.
so this is what they're doing now. I think the previous slide was sort of the process by which they went through to get to where they are now.
Yeah.
But anyway, it outlines roughly a 12-year process, which is getting them to construction. So,
There's probably like a 10-hour walk away in between that all.
But it is a nice looking development.
It was a pretty nice slide, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's down the end, I think.
Down the end.
Aaron, I might be wrong, but I do believe that we have a recreation space plan of some kind on file. It could be outdated, it could be old, but I do believe we have something like that on file.
Yeah, so this is what they propose here. You see the 2 football fields, a couple of baseball fields,
On our
playground.
website? Oh,
Playground in the
How
middle.
many acres is that, Aaron, do you
It's
know?
2 turf fields, too, by the way.
our recreation plan, or this is Walpole's? Oh,
Aaron, how much land is that, do you know?
I don't remember. Sure, it's listed in there somewhere.
The Recreation Department did a survey years ago, and the results are on the website. I believe it went under land use, and then there was the recreation survey, and then we've done the open space and recreation survey, and those results are in there. I believe recreation and open space was 2016.
But we don't have any land identified for new recreation fields, correct?
Correct.
Because there is none.
We knew, the survey said we need so many ball fields and soccer fields, and
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we have an updated open space recreation plan, but not a
Place to
plan.
build them.
And we have a shortage, is what the bottom line is, right? Yeah, right,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a nice plan. Bold.
Let's get our own. Let's go. What's next? What's the next step? What do we got to do?
Thought it was the old airport for a while.
Need somebody to tell us how to use our land. All those funds we have in our Conservation Commission.
All right.
What happened to the old airport? It was converted.
Some of it was they built houses on some of it.
Okay.
120 acres of it was bought by a conservationist.
It's conservation.
Privately owned, yeah.
it's the Leland Wild that's held by a land trust, headed by a Norfolk resident.
It's a habitat for tall grass birds. Have you ever heard that term?
I haven't, but.
I'm not making it up, seriously.
Run down to Audubon, do some research.
Anyway, this is what they propose, and there's, I've seen construction vehicles going in from Route 1A this week, and so maybe they've started to clear parts of the forest to begin work on that. Okay, 2019 meeting schedule, we have a listing there of all second Tuesdays essentially, aren't they?
Correct.
All right. So I have turned off my Bluetooth, and I will put them in my calendar without it disturbing you, and you can rest assured you'll have to put them in yourself. Unanticipated new business. Well, I received a letter from the gentleman sitting on my right who says essentially that he will not continue with us as a member of the board effective 5/7/19. So that means we will have a, by the way, when is your term up?
The following year.
So there's a one-year term
Correct.
available to be filled, and that's filled generally by appointment, isn't it? Between us and the selectmen?
If this is, I don't know, but if this is in time, this may be able to be
On the ballot.
On the ballot? Oh, that,
My
okay.
intention for doing it at this point and so early was that it would be able to be up for
Oh,
an
that's good.
election.
Okay, good.
So we can just have that another, Greg, I think.
There are
is
two
filling a
additional
term, and
members.
He has to run again for that same.
Yes, because he did the same thing, essentially, filled a one-year seat, yeah. So Craig is up for election, should he choose to do so, and as am I.
9 o'clock to 9 doesn't work for you?
We're starting to blend content between boards and committees, so I think that it would be more prudent to allow somebody else to come in and start getting their feet wet as well, so that I could try to focus on the other fun stuff going on.
So who knows who will step forward and pull papers and run for the seat? We will see. But thank you for the notice at this time. It gives us time to, as you say, to
plan.
And thank you all for giving me my introduction into the procedures and policies and interactions and structure and framework and everything. I do appreciate it. It's been invaluable.
Well,
It's been a long grind, but we got you there.
I can tell you from personal experience that this is my 6th year and I'm still learning. I mean, there's so much to learn in this.
Yeah.
So much to learn.
It's continual.
So, yeah, it is. It's
All
always,
these boards are
always,
all
yeah.
continual.
Yeah. So that's the latest news there. Anybody have any other pieces of business?
Mm-hmm.
Sir?
I guess just a question, because I couldn't pull it out of the drawings that were sent to us. The 194 Main Street 40B project.
Yep.
How many units is that? Do we?
72?
72.
And do we know if all 72 are going to count because it's an apartment?
It would, yes.
Awesome.
Currently, as proposed, as I understand it, it's all age restricted.
Yes.
That's an interesting move.
Yeah, 55 and over.
Really?
And it's split down the middle, right? 36 one-bedroom, 36 two-bedroom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then we're almost there. We're close then.
Another 50.
Closer.
Yeah, census comes out soon.
Yeah.
Closer.
Denominator changes.
So did you ever look at the, it was just kind of an off-the-cuff suggestion about helping elderly people, because I was reading something in your whatever file you sent me. We try and enable them to get into their houses or do some work for them so they don't have to leave their house. And I thought doing a reverse mortgage to make them 40B might be helpful. But you thought there was some restriction about converting existing houses to 40B?
Yeah, it was more of the person who was in the home, of the far as the income, there's limits as far as the income
Okay.
as well as assets, and
Yep.
that's where it
Okay.
becomes hard to do.
Hmm.
You know, unfortunately, that the house is the asset, and they might be fine income-wise, but in some cases, I did talk with Sue Jacobson, our affordable housing director, and you bump up against the asset issue with that.
Okay.
But it's not to say there couldn't be somebody out there that we might be able to do that for.
Okay. Sir, anything else that you've got?
No, nothing from mine.
Right. John, any other things? Rich, anything else?
No, I need that pen.
That's anything?
No.
No? Okay, then we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
In fact, I don't know where I found this pen.
Yeah.
Looks familiar.
Aaron, you let me down. I thought we were gonna talk about the makeup of that downtown committee.
Oh, no. It's a public meeting, so,
We talked about it on the 28th.
yeah, with a room full of people.
Yep.
Did we leave it open that we're gonna, at the first meeting,
Yeah,
establish
I think
what the
we
rest
said
of
that-
the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have two questions, but I thought I had them written down, but I don't seem to have them written down. So,